Hello friends, in this video we're going to look at this beautiful Fisher 220T receiver from the 1960s. I picked this up at a thrift store for $50, got a discount which put it about $38.50. I've already done some testing on this receiver. It basically works but has some problems, has noisy pots, and the left channel is lacking in power. And probably needs to have the capacitors replaced, or some of them. So later on in the video, after a quick demonstration of the problems, we're going to look inside and see what we can do to fix those. And then we're going to test it with these beautiful KLH Model 24 speakers, which are from the same period. I'm going to turn this on. You'll hear the noisy pot here, a lot of crackling. Let's
78B, US 65.
FM tuner is doing fine. One thing,
the northbound 35X Mission Road construction has the right lane closed.
Actually,
Bill Brooks in the KMBZ Traffic Center.
As I fiddle with the volume knob, maybe the weakness in the left channel is kind of due to the volume needing to be cleaned. So that'll be the very first order of business. We know that needs to be done, and then we'll look at the capacitors after that. So assembly wise, the way this works is it looks like you pull the knobs off. There's this face plate and a nut for each knob underneath. Basically the unit's inside the case here. This panel just slides directly off. We can see the unit better. I'll show you the back later, but most of this is just this nice wooden case. But this should be pretty simple to take apart. We'll do that next. Scooter wants to get involved, right, Scooter? You want to get involved? You're not going to talk to me? Got the knobs taken off. I'm going to take off this face plate, which is actually quite heavy. That explains part of why the unit itself is so heavy. Here's a couple of rubber pads that are kind of on the crusty side, but they'll be fine, I think. Everything looks good. A little dust. Here's a look at the back. Got an FM antenna here, speaker wires, power cord, unswitched outlet. This is an AM ferrite antenna. It says do not use as a handle. This can be swiveled a little bit. I think it can actually even be pulled out here, but I'm not going to go that far. We don't need to do that for my purpose. Got phono, aux, record, monitor, AM and FM connections, and speakers here. This has two sets of speakers they call main and remote. So it looks like this unit lifts out of here in some way. Probably need to find some screws on the bottom. I haven't looked at the bottom of this before. Genuine Fisher cabinet, says there. So there's a couple of these large screws that we can see are holding this in place. Take those out and it should be able to slide this out, I believe. Here's an interesting tidbit. It says vinyl veneer on the inside. They had me fooled. I thought this was real walnut, but even in the 60s you had to economize, I guess. Here's the unit pulled out of the case. A little dust that can be cleaned off. And it looks like a variety of screws, so I'll figure out which ones of those need to come out. Looks like this black piece here is a lid for the overall unit that can be taken out with a variety of screws. So I'll do that next and show you the result. So we're going to pop the lid here. Had 16 screws, I believe. Looks pretty clean on the inside, not even any dust. Not very much at least, and just construction wise, this has some fairly simple one-sided circuit boards. Here's a nice heavy mass to run the tuner knob here. This has a really nice feel to it as far as the tuning knob goes. Got the power transformer over here. Let's look at the tuning mechanism. It has this rather complicated set of gears and so on. Ultimately, those tune this unit, I believe. That actually, they aren't gears, they're pulleys, sorry. They tune this unit, which appears to be the kind of capacitors, air gap capacitors you typically see in receivers. We've got essentially two identical sections for left and right stereo. Here you see a pair of power transistors, this one and this one. We're using the overall chassis as a heatsink. It looks like this, and also these connect specifically to the heavy top plate that I showed you earlier. So this doesn't have sort of finned heat sinks like you might see in a modern unit, but basically their approach seems to be to kind of spread the heat around in a general sense on a large piece of metal. Maybe that was the design at the time. This is only 20 watts per channel, so it's not going to produce a great deal of heat. And as you can see from this transformer, that's an indication that this isn't really a high-powered unit. Let's see what's underneath. I haven't looked at that yet. Oh, got another thing to take off, so we'll do that and get back to you. So we'll just lift this lid off. That had 5 screws of its own. Take a quick look here. This also looks very clean. There's no dust at all that I can see. That makes sense with a unit that's sealed up this way. All the capacitors appear to be in good shape. Here, as a side note, we've got a kind of a simple bridge rectifier. I looked at the power supply on this, and it's a pretty simple design. Got some large canned capacitors spread throughout, but they don't appear to be bulging or anything. Here's the underside of the pots. You can see that that's going to be where we'll spray in some cleaner. Let's just take a closer look at the inside. You can see point-to-point wiring, which is common in this era. This is a combination of circuit boards and point-to-point. We've got some real evidence of quality here. There's this kind of conduit type stuff that carries some of the wires and shields them. This is the function selector, backside of the inputs, backside of the outputs, the cables I've added. This is a speaker jack, and here's the item that we really want to focus on. This is a ganged pot with a switch built on. You can see this is a master volume and probably one pot for each side. Here's an interesting little fact. These capacitors say W Germany, as in West Germany. So in 1966, not only did we have West Germany, but I guess we were buying capacitors from there. This is very heavy metal construction. So this really seems like a premium unit in its day. I think Fisher used to be a premium brand, and then maybe in the 70s or later it became kind of a cheap brand. I'm just going to spray some air in here. As I suspected, there isn't any real dust to come out. I'm going to hit the pots especially hard with the air. These are the switches. We'll also do the cleaner on those. So I'm going to get my cleaner down in there. Here's a relic of another era. This is tuner cleaner from Radio Shack. This might be 30 years old or more. Today you would use Deoxit, seems to be the one that everybody talks about on YouTube. but we'll try spraying some of that in there. Problem I have is I'm not quite sure if I can get it inside there, so I'm just gonna kind of be liberal with it. And I think the can's getting low, and then turning it on its side isn't helping. There we go. We'll do the switches. These other pots, I don't really know if anything's getting inside there, but hopefully it is. We're gonna run those back and forth to kind of work it in. And then rather than put it back in the case and all, it looks like it can be used on the bench if I just flip it over and leave it out of the case and keep my hands out of it. The 120 is in this area, so it shouldn't be a safety hazard by the time I flip it over and have this area on the bench. Okay, let's turn it on and see if we hear all those crackles again. Not too bad.
Day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for
This
you.
is the
See for yourself.
base.
Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to
This list sounds
ZipRecruiter.com
strong.
/free.
Oh, okay.
That's ZipRecruiter.com
I had-
/free.
Okay, this must be the balance knob.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS.
We're doing well on left.
To be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to
Doing
do
well
that.
on right.
Tax Relief Advocates is different.
Let's
DRE
do
is
the
here to
volume
tell
some
you
more
that
to
if you
see
don't
if
find the
that, not only to turn it down, but to see if that
solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car with your kids.
crackles just a
Call
little
now.
tiny bit, but it's not objectionable.
Don't lose hope. TRE can
So
eliminate
maybe
what you
a
owe to
little
the
more,
IRS.
maybe working it in a little bit more, it'll get even better.
Start. Our passion is taxes
But-
and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+.
So I think all of this is a real success. One thing I didn't show you before, we've got this nice stereo tuning indicator thing here. So basically tune this for the highest value, which looks to be a bit over 4. And it says stereo beacon here. So I think that's supposed to light up when stereo is active. May not have the right switch in for that. I wasn't able to get that to work in prior testing, so maybe the little indicator bulb, which we can see behind here, is bad. That might be something I mess with separately or just leave as is. I don't think that's a showstopper for anybody unless you're a true purist collector. So this is a really nice unit that somebody's going to treasure. The other lights work. It's in good physical condition. So my next step is going to be to put it back together and kind of give it one last quick check. And then I think we can call it good. As far as restoration on this goes, I didn't have to do much except what you've already seen. Spraying in the air and the cleaning solution. I also used one of these markers. This is dark walnut, to kind of touch up a few little areas. That didn't really help much, but doesn't hurt. A lot of general cleaning with window cleaner. One thing that we can see here is this is plating that could be redone by somebody. That's beyond the scope of what I plan to do with this unit. So it will either stay that way, or else somebody in the future who's more ambitious than me can replate that. That's kind of probably the worst cosmetic issue here, but it's really not that bad, especially when you consider that you might put something on top of this. So there really wasn't much to do in the way of restoration aside from the electronics part. But at this point, you know, it's a very clean unit, very nice looking, really something somebody would be proud to have in their home, which might be me. Well, here it is running AM. This is a rather bad reception in my basement, but you get the idea. We've already done FM. Let's tune that in. That sounds wonderful. We're going to do Phono. This is an Olivia Newton-John record that I bought years ago and ended up using as a test record. But anyway, as far as sound quality goes, this really sounds wonderful. It's kind of hard to convey on the video, I'm sure, with the microphone I'm using, but this has a real solid, clean, convincing sound, excellent stereo imaging. So these speakers in combination with this unit really are outstanding for their size. These are not big speakers, they're only like 18 inches tall. So let's go over to the aux setting. In the aux setting, I've got this CD player hooked up. Let's listen to that. Again, sounds just wonderful. But aside from the turntable, I've got $13 in the speakers, $38 in the unit, and it sounds really good. I just can't get over how good this sounds for a small system. Maybe this is the reason people appreciate vintage equipment. So that ends it for this video. We're going to call it good. I hope you've enjoyed this. If so, please remember to like and subscribe. And bye-bye.